one of the biggest things everyone is asking right now is simply, how are you guys holding up?
I'm holding up too good. London mother didn't have a policy, and we need help with the GoFundMe. Anybody that could help out with London's funeral. We got a GoFundMe page set up with the news, and it will go directly to London's mother and the funeral home. So please, if you could help out, please.
I understand London was a really special girl, full of life. How would you describe her?
That was my baby.
I want to welcome everybody to this demonstration. London Thomas Grandma speaks on what she thinks happened. Salute to all of my moderators. Salute to the replay gang. Salute to the chat. So, according to London's grandmother, they don't even have insurance money. They didn't have an insurance policy out on her. Also, in the case, they do have 2 people in custody. I will be finding out what took place with those 2 people that we had in custody. I want to shout out one of my Rock Squad members. Shout out to Marty. Marty was actually at the, I believe, a news conference with the grandmother. So a big shout out to Marty, as well as Mark D from 7 Miles Radio and everyone else that was boots on ground. Another sad case. Another sad case. Let me go back to Grandma, and I'll come down there to the chat and entertain the chat.
My baby back. Oh God, it's the hardest thing ever. Oh God, just trying to be strong. Oh God.
I apologize. It was a visual. It was a visual, and Rock Squad owned Marty was in attendance of the visual, as well as 7 Miles Radio Mark D.
Not knowing what she went through, that kills me the most. What she went through. I just, talking to me. Oh God, it just hurt. It's hurt.
And we don't know, well, I don't know what the family situation is, but according to the grandmother, she said the mom is not talking with her. Let us learn some valuable lessons from these cases. Let us learn some valuable lessons. One valuable lesson we should all learn is that we never know when we're going to get called home. So if we can possibly make sure that we have insurance policies out on ourselves as well as family members. Make sure we have insurance policies out on ourselves as well as family members, because we never know when we'll get called home. And then also as family, I know that we all have issues. Me and my family have issues. I'm sure everyone has family issues, but let us focus on the bigger picture. We want to focus in on the bigger picture. And it's just my belief. and I could be wrong, but this is just my belief. My belief is that in time of death, regardless of who was there for that person that passed away, regardless of who wasn't there for that person, my belief is that at their passing, all differences should be put aside to give the deceased a proper burial. And then after the proper burial, if y'all still are at odds with each other, that's fine. That's fine. But remember that you all have lost a loved one. And the most important thing is putting your loved one away proper. So let us take lessons from these cases.
I just want my baby back. Oh, God. Oh, London. Oh, she always say, say, when I get old, your daddy he ain't gonna say, she say, I'm gonna take care of you, Grandma. And I always try to do the best I could, teach her right from wrong. I just miss my baby. Lord, I'm not gonna ever get that call again. Oh, God.
She used to call you a lot?
Yeah, she called me right before she disappeared for pizza. I sent her $20. And she called me back and said, thank you, I love you, Grandma. She did get to tell me she loved me. And I told her I love her too, so I did get that last moment. Oh, God, it's the hardest thing. That's my baby. I kept up with me when she was younger. Oh, as they get older, they wean away.
And this is what, and I don't know the circumstances, and I'm not going to pass judgment on any of the family members, and I'm not going to pass judgment on London. It's all a learning lesson. You know, as children, as kids, we want to get off the porch so bad. We want to get outside so bad. We want to be able to have a girlfriend. We want to be able to have a boyfriend. We want to be able to hang out with our friends. We dream of the day when we can get outside. But for all of the kids that are watching this, all of the teenagers that are watching this, that is dreaming for that day to be able to get outside, take it from me, outside ain't what it's cut out to be. What y'all think is outside, trust me, it ain't nothing but a whole lot of problems once you get off that porch. Once you get off that porch, that protection that your parents have around you, that protection is no longer there. And people that's in these streets, they could care less about you. And sometimes we have to find out the hard way. Sometimes we can bounce back from being out in the streets, but then other times we can't bounce back because being out in the streets can cost you your life. I'm gonna come down to the chat. Give me a minute, y'all. Let us get some prayer hands. Let us throw up some prayer hands for London Thomas. Let us throw up some pink hearts for London Thomas. Let's throw up some pink hearts for London Thomas. And Marty, since you was actually there, since you was actually at the visual, Marty, would you mind joining me on the panel? I just want to get some insight from you because you was actually there at the visual. So if you could join me on the panel, Marty, click on the link.
Oh, God. I'm just pleased if y'all can help with the GoFundMe page. We do need help here in London.
This weekend, when the news broke, were you guys all together, or where were you guys when everything happened this weekend?
It was my son's birthday.
Her father?
Yeah, her father's birthday. He just broke down in the room.
Wow. It's one thing to receive that kind of message, period. But to actually receive the message that your daughter that was missing is deceased. My prayers to London's dad. My prayers to London's dad. Salute, Marty. How you feeling, Marty?
Hey, Shank, how you doing?
All right. What was well, I know the atmosphere. I could just imagine the atmosphere, but what was your feelings like?
Well, I was at my mom's until like 10 after 7, and we were watching the news, and they said that they were going to have a vigil for her today at 7:30. And I'm like, oh my God. So I was trying to get my mom to understand. She was like, no, you can't go there by yourself. You don't know where it is. And I said, well, I'm just going to go because they said the vicinity of 8 Mile and Telegraph. I said, I'm just going to go. If I have to drive up and down the streets, I'm going to find it. So I was driving, and then I actually called the news channel, and I spoke to the young lady, and I asked her, about London and if they knew where the vigil was going to be. Then she says, well, yeah, we received an email today. It's on Millard Street, but I don't have an address. I Googled it. They gave me directions, and as soon as there were other cars that were driving and making a left down that street, and I said, this must be the street. And once I went down there, you saw all the cars lined up, and you saw the news people there and everything, and they had a gentleman. He was like, no, you can park right here. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I said a prayer before I got out of the car, and I saw these people with, they had t-shirts on. And so as you've seen in the video, I was walking up and, asking them, can I speak with you? And I asked them, are you a part of the family? And she was like, one lady said, yeah, I'm her aunt. And I asked if I could give her a hug, and, and I gave her my condolences. And then she was like, well, her grandma is right there. So I did the same thing to the grandma, and I spoke to her for a minute. Then she said, well, her dad is right here. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll go and speak to the dad. But they were, and I told them that I was a part of your podcast, and we had been speaking about her, and we were throwing up prayers in our rock squad, and we were praying that they would find her, but not in the way that they found her. And she appreciated it. She thanked us, and she was like, you don't know her. Thanks for coming. And I was just telling her that, it could be, I have empathy for people, especially if like I have a granddaughter. I said, I would be beside myself if anything like that happened to my granddaughter. And I have a niece, and I was just there in support of the family, even though I didn't know them. And we were just talking about, how this world has to change, and, you know, let our young kids be aware, our young females, especially, but males as well, but to be aware of your surroundings, know that people, that you come in contact with. Let someone know where you're going, even though her sister dropped her off. But it was a lot of people there, and I missed when they were putting the candles on the ground. Somehow or another, I couldn't get that video to go to you because they said it was too long. But shoot, it was only 4 minutes. The first one I sent you was like 18. But he said a prayer, and on there I was doing like we were doing at Shanquilla's, say her name, and things like that. But there were a lot of people that, just like us, we didn't know her, but like we said before, it could be your niece, it could be your granddaughter. So we were and there were a lot of people that were out there just in support of her because they've seen it on the news. They were fellow Detroiters, and they were just there. And there was only one obstacle. And this lady, and I don't know if you saw it on the video, the Caucasian lady, and she was like, I don't want you all to release balloons here. And it was like, by the time it really got together, it was like a couple of hundred people there, and Mark D was there. I have a video with Mark D. And she didn't want the balloons in the air, because she was like, oh, there's a lot of wildlife around here, and there's deers and animals, and they don't want them to ingest them when they go down or whatever. And the one young lady said, we got the clearance from the Southfield Police Department to release balloons. And they were, we were like right in the front of the house that she was found in that car. And the young lady was like, well, I'm getting ready to call the police. And a young gentleman that was standing next to me said, well, here comes the police now. You can go and talk to him. And she did. She actually went over there. And then I thought of something that you always say: keep the focus on the purpose. And the purpose, the reason that we were all there, was to show solidarity for London, and then gather around, the family and stuff. And that's what we did. And, one lady said, amen, Miss Lady. But that was it. But it was a somber setting, but the people were there, and they were saying good things about her. And then the news reporters were asking various people, why are you here? And were you a family member? And I told them, I'm like, no, I'm not a family member, but this young girl lost her life in, a horrible way, just being taken out of this life by someone we don't know yet. But it was sad, but it was sad, but they had a lot of people supporting them. And I think that did the family proud, because they were, the grandma was thanking the news people, for covering the story. And she was thanking people for coming out, and stuff. And I'm glad I was there. I'm glad I was there to be a part of that.
I'm glad you was there too, Marty. I'm gonna finish up. Can you stay up on the panel with me for a few more minutes? I'm gonna go back to the grandmother, and then we're going to actually go to the actual visual. I believe that's you recording it, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Let me finish with grandma, and then we'll go to that video footage.
Okay. I sent you 3.
He called me first. He didn't come tell me. He called me and told me. And the house was just in an uproar. We went from trying to enjoy that day to just purely hell.
Saturday was his birthday.
They found her.
Have police told you anything about who's in custody, the suspects?
No, they just said they got 2 people. I don't know who they are.
What are you hoping happens these next couple days?
Oh, God. So I want her justice. I want them to do the most time they could ever see in their life for killing my grandchild. And I just want London to be put away decent, nice. I want her to go ahead and get buried. And she ain't got to suffer no more. Whatever she was going through.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
You guys are talking about doing a candlelight vigil?
Yeah, candlelight vigil where it happened at 7:30 tonight.
Okay.
I'm not sure the street.
Is there anything else that you want? You know, so many things of people are praying for you guys, thinking about you guys. Is there anything else that you would want people to know?
And thanks for all your help and support and helping us look for her. Oh, that was the hardest thing I had to do in my life, look for my grandchild. I just want to thank everybody for all their help and support.
Sad. Sad.
Okay.
So that's Rock Squad's own Marty with 7 Miles Radio, Mark D. What was your experience like meeting Mark D from 7 Miles Radio, Marty?
Well, actually, excuse me, I saw him, but people saw him first, and when he turned around, I recognized him. And so people were like taking pictures with him and talking to him. And so then I waited and I went over, I told him who I was. I told him about you and Miss Parker and the podcast we were on. And he was like, oh, okay. And we talked a little bit about Neziah. And then we were just talking about how sad this was. And so I wanted to get a video. I thought that it was a video originally, but it wasn't. It was like on photo. And I'm like, oh man. And then I put it on video and I asked him if we could take a picture. And he was like, yes, fine. He was very pleasant. I think I was talking to him for maybe about 5 minutes. And he was just surveying the scene. He was taking his video as well. And I told him I'll let him get back to what he's doing. And then I walked over and started talking to some gentleman that lived down the street. And he said that his grandson and somebody got pulled over down the street from where the house was because he had a car that was like the one that the girl was found in. But I asked him, I said, well, did you notice? Because the news says that that car was parked there for like 2 weeks. And he was like, no, because you would notice something if a car was abandoned in someone's driveway for 2 weeks. And I said, well, that's what the news said. And then the grandma said she was so decomposed that they could only identify her by her teeth. And that was so sad to me. That was so sad. But when I got home, I was talking to my son and he was like, Ma, you going to places you don't know and people you don't know. And your little girlfriend says, Daddy, Grandma been on Shanks and that's all that they do. And I gave her a high five. I said, Milana, thanks for taking up for your grandma, you know. But, you know, him as a protective side and Milana, it's like she told his dad, that's what grandma does, you know. But I was talking to her. I said, 1970. She has strength because there's no way in God's green earth, unless he gave me the strength, I wouldn't want no camera in my face. That's why I asked her, and I asked the dad, could I video, him? And they gave me permission, because as you see, some of the video, I didn't have people's face in it because I wanted to get their permission first, because that's an invasion of privacy, But he understood. He said no problem. The grandma said no problem. Um, I gave them well wishes from us, and I told them that we had been praying for them and to find her, and I know that you didn't get the outcome, but we're here to support you. And they were very, very thankful, and very grateful that as many people. And then the grandma, when we got ready to disperse, she, her and this other gentleman, thanked everybody for coming, because she was just like we think Shankola is, everybody's niece or, daughter or somebody. And I told him that's the way that we feel about any, child that goes missing, and then they come up unalived. And it was sad, but then we were standing there talking about resolutions, what needs to be done, because it's, and the one guy said, I'm sick and tired of going to all of these visuals for unalived men and women, and he was like, something has to be done. And I said, yep, we're trying to work on it.
Yes, let's go to some of that video footage. And like you said, Marty, and like we always say, you just don't know when it can hit home.
Right.
Because in a million years, I know the family of London Thomas couldn't imagine that this could happen to her.
Right.
So we as a people, we as a community, we have to step up. Men, I call all men, we got to step up. It is not snitching. It's not snitching if you step up and take care of your community. If you see, especially a child, even if you see a man or a woman being attacked, it's not snitching if you call 911 on them. That's
exactly.
not snitching. Like I said before, snitching is when all parties are involved in criminal activity. One get caught or two get caught and some other ones get away. And those two or that one got caught, they snitches on those that got away. Now that's snitching. All of y'all knew what y'all was doing.
Exactly.
But these babies, man, I give my life up for the babies. We gotta give our lives up for these babies. Let me go to the footage, Marty. And a big shout out to you, Marty, for taking your time out and attending that vigil.
Ken and Claudia took their car to their local Firestone.
When he was deployed.
Yes,
Let me backtrack, y'all.
I do want to thank everybody for coming out helping us search for her.
Excuse
me. And I'm just glad that we did. Somebody, she was deceased. I'm glad to have her back. And I just want justice for my grandchild.
Amen.
But London is sweet little. Well, I look at her as my sweet little baby. So just remember her for who she was and how she loved everybody and everybody loved her. The only answers that I have gotten that she was found in the car. She was in there for 2 weeks and she was really decomposed. That another example, they identified her by her teeth. So, yeah, it was hard, but she's been in that car for over 2 weeks. London always wanted to here. And she pretty much learned how to do hair by doing grandma hair and other people hair. She wasn't working. She would work at McDonald's, Sonic, restaurant Sonic. She's been working since she was 14. She's been working. So she was a good kid. You know, like all teenagers, they want to get out and experience a boyfriend. I guess she just that's wrong.
You spell your first and last name for us?
Yes, Tina Martin. Yeah, you
I'm so sorry.
Thank y'all for following us all the way.
Grandma, the dad is right over there.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I know that's right. Yeah.
YouTube is not doing that. Right. I live in the East. I look all over you, looking and everything, you know what I'm saying? But it got to a point that
Do you want to speak to us?
I feel like it's going to tell them.
What's occurred with us? So, if you don't want to.
Slide in, Marty. I'm lost for words. Slide in, Marty.
Yeah, I wanted you to see the dad. Do you have the dad? I think I sent it to you.
Not in this. I believe it's in that other video.
Okay. Okay.
Email when you get a chance. Email me that other video. It'll come through my email. Email me the other video.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, it's now the other gentleman that was to the right. He had the white gentleman that the other reporter was talking to. He asked him why was he there, and he said he had a crucifix in his hand, he had a rosary in his hand, and he was talking about how the community, how so many people, and he see it on the news, and he says that he is just fed up with going on, what has been going on with these not only young kids being murdered, but just black on black crime, white on black crime, just crime, period. And he said that in order for this world to change, God gonna have to step in. He said he knows that they always say, God's not gonna put more on you can bear, or the life lessons or whatever. But my thing is, when I was listening to him speak, I'm like, this little girl was 17. What life lessons did she have to learn, or someone in her family have to learn? It was just in my head. And he was saying that the government has to do something. The community leaders have to do something. And he was saying all of the right things. So when he got off, I asked him, I said, where would you start to like try to nip this in the bud so we won't have a lot of our young people, our young women, get assaulted and unalived by their boyfriends or whatever? And he was like, people have to learn how to handle rejection, number one. Like he said, I don't know the circumstances behind her disappearance, but he did say that he heard that, she was dropped off by her sister at the boyfriend's house, and no one saw her after that. you know, and he was just talking about how the community as a whole, he did mention, parents keep a watchful eye on your kids, know your kids' friends, know where your kids, go. And I was talking to another gentleman, and I said, well, I heard that they had been in a relationship for 4 years. She's only 17. That would make it 13. He was like, I don't know how true that is. I says, I all I know is I heard it on the news, and I don't know how credible that was, but it was on the news, And I'm like, 4 years? She would have been 13,
And he would
but
have been 19.
um, pedophile, because no 13-year-old can give consent to anything. No consent to anything. But the gentleman that I was speaking with, he had good ideas, like we have good ideas, but it's all about implementing them. All about implementing them. Get in your neighborhoods, get in your community, and just know where your people are. Now, I do know she was 17, and actually, I recognized the dad from the news. I recognized the grandma for the news. The auntie was the first one that I saw with the shirt on. And I did ask, where was the mom out here? She said no, but her dad is right there. Her grandma is right there. And I left it at that. I was not going to pry, because it's none of my business. I was just out in support of the family. And I know no backstory on anything. No one said anything about the mom in my presence. And I was moving from people to people. I didn't hear anything about the mom at all. I don't know.
I'm speechless. I'm with you, Marty. I don't know. I mean, you can count me in for any solutions that anybody have. Count me in.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Like, and I don't know how. I'm speechless. Like,
I know so much is going on, and I don't have the chat open now, but I had the chat open earlier, and some people was like, "What's going on in Detroit?" I don't know what's going on in Detroit. I'm not. My good friend would say, "Marty, you don't even live in Detroit. Why are you, so hell bent on talking and defending Detroit?" I was raised in Detroit. I wasn't born, but I was raised in Detroit. I'm like 25 minutes away. But right now, like I told you before, it seems like the mess that's happening right now, Detroit is the focal point of, because it's so many high profile cases, and you see it on the news every single day. They've been talking about London every single day. And we talked about one of the young ladies that was there that lived on that street. We were talking about that girl's home that's in Inkster, that one 17-year-old that they found her with, that 62 or 63-year-old man. She was found alive. Well, then the next day after she was found, there was a little African American girl that ran away from that home. So in my head, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Somebody needs to figure out what's going on inside of that girls' home for these girls to keep running away from there. And this one that's missing now is 16. I haven't heard anything else about it. She's still missing. Um, and I'm like, I hope that, her fate can be just like the other little girl that they found, safe and unharmed. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And we, like I said, Detroit has a lot of community leaders out there, and it's, I don't know, but it's the people. It's not the city. It's the people some of the demonic people that's in the city who doesn't, in my opinion, who doesn't respect life. You know, because if you respected life, how could you do the things that was done to Naziah? And we still haven't found that baby.
I need a 15-second break, y'all. I need a 15-second break.
Shank.
Yes.
Uh-oh. What happened?
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you, Marty.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't hear you. Was it you that said that they were setting up a GoFundMe, that they didn't have insurance?
The grandma, she said it.
Wow.
The grandma said it.
Do we know if we have a link out there? Because see, unless I hear from the grandma, and the grandma tell me, because they got scams all over the place.
She said it. Matter of fact, let me run it back. And if anybody knows the actual link to that GoFundMe, can I get everybody to send my moderator the full life, some prayer hands, and some condolences? We praying for you, the full life. Can I get everybody to send my moderator the full life, some prayer hands, and give y'all condolences to him? Let me go back to the grandmother, Marty. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Let me get to the grandmother.
The biggest
Because she said soon as she start talking, she'll mention the GoFundMe. But let me run it for everybody.
Okay.
things everyone is asking right now is simply, how are you guys holding up?
We're not holding up too good. London mother didn't have a policy, and we need help with the GoFundMe.
So if anyone has that link, can y'all drop that link to the GoFundMe? And if not, I'll make sure that I'll get the link and drop the link on the replay. You can slide in, Marty.
No, I hear it from her. But like, we still, even though I know that they said that they need one, or they have one, we need to know the correct one, because anybody can put up a GoFundMe page and put London's name up there. We need to know who actually started this GoFundMe.
And that's true. Let me come to the chat. Let me see what my chat is saying. Full Life says, wow, you make me smile that I need. That's what we here for, brother. That's what we here for. We never know when we will be in a time of need. We never know. So if we can love one another, if we could be there for one another, I think that's half of the battle. That's half of the battle. So what age is a go age for young people to go out to movies, shopping malls, and so on? I would say 16 for me. I would say for my daughters or granddaughters, I would say 16. Yeah, if the grades are high, if the grades are up and if they are, good children, if they're doing what they're supposed to do, then I don't see nothing wrong with having a boyfriend, but then it has to be monitored. What's your feelings on that, Marty?
I have a story behind that.
Hmm.
My dad told us that we could have a boyfriend at the age of 16 or a friend. But the one thing that my dad did to every last one of us, my dad, he worked at Ford's and he basically stayed in his bedroom, right? He had an
You went out. Go ahead, Marty.
yeah, my mom was calling. And anybody that wanted to date his children would have to come and go in that room, and you're going to explain why you want to talk to my daughter. Where are you going? My dad had this saying, you don't date anybody without a car because your car is not a taxi cab. You don't talk and date anybody who doesn't have the car, his own money, because you're not a bank, you're not an ATM, but at that time he said a bank vault. But everybody except for this one guy that wanted to take my older sister out, whatever my dad, and we still don't know what my dad, would tell them, but he did not take my sister Deborah out. So obviously he did not, I guess he didn't like what my dad was saying. He told her, he apologized. Your dad said that I can't go out with you, and he left. Yeah, but you monitoring is the thing. But like I said, she's 17. Girls at 17 think they grown, but you still have to be mindful. You still have to check in with your family. I don't know what her family dynamic was. The only thing that I can tell you is there were a lot of people out there. I know others were spectators like myself, but there were family members there and they all had on the t-shirts, so I think she was a well-loved girl because of the amount of people that were there and hugging on, the other family members. They had the t-shirts on. Maybe they all didn't have t-shirts, but you could tell that they were family, and I was glad for the mom like that, but I think she was a loved little girl.
Yeah, she seemed like she was. I appreciate you. Can I get everybody to give Tiffany Goodwin a warm welcome? Tiffany says, been subscribed for a while now, but this is my first time commenting. My mother said, is these the only people you watch? Because every time she comes around, it's either Shank or Miss Parker on the TV. Shout out to Tiffany. Shout out to Tiffany. Any solutions? Do anybody have any solutions?
Well, Shank, there are solutions. But it, like we've all said, it all starts from home. And it's easy to do corrective behaviors on your children when they're young.
Yeah.
And have that instilled in them. So when they grow up, they will have some type of wisdom and knowledge about that. But these predators out there, they have to be stopped. Our councilmen, our senators, our community, our police officers, something has to be done. Give these kids something to do, or there's a program, and it's a mentorship program. But do you know how hard it is to get, say a 21-year-old guy who's been in the streets all their life, to try to change them. It's hard. You know, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. And that's how I knew about, this program, and how hard it is to talk to people, to talk to men, to try to change their lives. There's more to life than slinging in the street, because that's only going to lead you to one of two places: in jail or in the grave. But if people valued people like they value themselves, I think the world would be better. But like you said, what are the solutions? And it takes a village to keep an eye on kids. Takes a village to raise kids. Nowadays, if you say something to your neighbor next door's kids or whatever, or you go to them, they're going to be ready to bite your head off. We weren't raised like that. Miss Naomi, we called her our Channel 7 News, because Miss Naomi sat on her porch, God rest her soul. She watched everything that was going on. And if we went too far down the street, she would holler across the street, "Louise, them kids down the street," But we knew that before them street lights came on, especially in the summertime, you better be in the front of that house or on that porch.
And that's where I want to build on. I'm gonna let you build for the women, but I'm gonna build for the men. Now, with us, when I was young, we respected the older men.
Mm-hmm.
I can speak on me personally. I wasn't scared of the older men, but I respected them. I knew physically, I knew that I couldn't beat a grown man physically.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, I knew what I was supposed to have been doing, and I knew that I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So when an older man did speak to me and giving me some knowledge, I always knew that they knew what they was talking about.
Exactly.
Because I knew what I was doing was wrong. And that's why my mother, and I thank God for my mother. And it's been a very emotional day today, because today makes 10 years of my mother passing away. This is the 10th year anniversary of my mother passing away.
Oh, I'm sorry, Shank.
Yeah. And so with my mom, like I said, I had a worn out for me. Police come knocking on the door. My mother gonna open up that door. My mother gonna say, "His black ass upstairs." And they be bringing me down in handcuffs. And I be like, "Ma, why you tell him I was up here?" And she was like, "Because I told your black ass, you get in trouble, I am not defending you." That's the kind of mom that I had.
Mm-hmm.
So for the young generation, and I know that we have to, and I know we got to deal with them differently, because they're not scared of us. Not only they're not scared of us, they don't respect us.
Right.
They don't.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right, because like I said, my parents, we grew up in church. My parents always taught us, you never address an adult by their first name. It's either Miss So-and-so. Same thing with your family. And like my kids are 36 and 44. It's still Auntie Deborah, Auntie Darlene. Everybody has a handle on their name. When you go to church, that's Miss So-and-so, so-and-so. I wish my children, they don't call me by my first name. I wish you would. My parents, my mom is 84. My dad is 87. I still call them mom and dad. Still, because their name is Louise. That's their name. His name is Louis. That's his name. But that's not who they are to me. they're my mom and dad. So they brought us up with values. They taught us values. You know, you got to work for what you want. You know, you got to go to school. You got to do X, Y, and Z. And they didn't allow us to like go and sleep at anybody's house. I don't even care if it was our cousins. I think I was 16 the first time my one of my high school friends, we were going to driving, ABC driving school. And we had our final thing on that Friday, that Saturday. That Friday, I spent the night at her house. That was the first time that I had ever spent the night at someone's house. But my parents knew them. We went to school together. And so that's my parents wouldn't let us go into situations where, look, I don't know these people, but these people today, they don't, you got young moms, you know, they don't have mamas and big mamas like we had, you know, back in the day. Big mamas, now your big mamas may only be 30 something years old and maybe 40, if that, because the kids are having kids younger. You know, I had my first baby when I was 20, you know, and that was too young, you know, but these days, the people, the younger people, I believe, weren't, and I hate to generalize it, so I'll just say some people, they didn't get that element of respect that we got growing up, because our parents made sure you respected older people.
Yes.
You know, but then instill respect in yourself, because if you have respect for yourself, you can't help but to respect somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, but
let me answer the full life question. The full life says, when does it start to feel better, Shank? It's something that's going to stay with you for the rest of your life. Now, for me and my mother, we was on good terms. So that was a plus. That was a plus.
always.
And then the way that my mom passed away in her sleep. She had a heart attack in her sleep. So she passed away in her sleep. So I had to take that in consideration. Well, at least she didn't suffer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and my mom passed away a day after the Freddie Gray riots. I don't know if y'all remember back in Baltimore.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, my mom, she passed away the next day on the 28th. You know, and so I had to take a lot of things in consideration. Like I said, me and my mother, we was tight. We was on good terms. And the way that she went, but it's still the memories. You know, you gotta have the memories. And it's still, well, I didn't get a chance to actually apologize to my mom. You know, it's some things that I want to tell her. I wish I could have done it this way. And you know, it's a whole lot, but it's something that's going to stay with you for the rest of your life. And one thing that I can say, and I tell this to everybody has their own way of grieving. Everybody has their own way of dealing with death. You know? But to lose Mom Dukes, that's Marty. That's how every
Shane, I cannot even imagine. Like my dad, he's been suffering with dementia really bad now. It's been almost 3 years, but he's having an issue. He has a suprapubic catheter in his bladder from in his stomach. We haven't had any issues. He's had it for a little over 12 years now. We haven't had any issues at all until July 8th of last year. My dad almost died. I knew how I was with even the thought, because I'm a daddy's baby. You know, I'm 65, but I'm still a daddy's baby. And even the mere thought of my dad not being here anymore is, to me, it's unimaginable, because either one of my parents, but I do everything that I can, and a couple of my little side chicks, my little girlfriends, they know what I've been going through with my dad. And she was saying, Marty, you have 5 brothers and sisters. I say, yeah, I do. She was like, you need to delegate some stuff. And I'm like, and I explained why this person couldn't, why this person couldn't, why this person couldn't. And she was like, if something happened to you, then who's going to step up? But I can't even imagine losing my dad or my mom. And they're up in age. And, we're going to do something to my dad tomorrow that I really don't want to do, but it's for his benefit, because we can't let him become septic again, because that can kill you. It almost killed him in July, and his thing isn't doing right. So we're going another route, and it's probably going to be uncomfortable for him, but I would rather him having a little bit of discomfort versus his body getting poisoned again. And I know he can potentially get lost, because we could potentially lose him, because I lost my husband to sepsis. So I don't know how you can, and you said this is 10 years from your mom and full life. I'm so sorry you lost your mom, but I cannot imagine it. And, it may sound stupid, but I cannot. And even, I remember years ago when my dad got shot, we owned a store, and he got shot, and they had to operate on my dad without anesthesia. And it was crazy, and just even that thought, we were a wreck, because we were just a wreck. So now, even though I know he's 88 and I know he has dementia, and I know, that we're having this issue with his bladder, and stuff now, and the tubes and everything, but I still I'm being selfish. I would rather him be here in my life. I know he got to go home sooner or later. Hell, I may go, because ain't no date promised to anybody. But you lost your mom 10 years ago. I cannot even fathom it. Cannot fathom it at all. Life without my parents. Life without my parents. I've lost all my grandparents, but my mom and dad are still here. Every time I think about it, I get emotional, because I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I wouldn't know what to do with myself. And if anything happened to my dad first, I know my mom gonna grieve herself to death. They've been married 65 years, 66 years, 66 years. They've been married. I can't even
I'm
imagine.
emotional. I'm emotional, y'all. Any last words before we get out of here, Marty?
Just keep London's family in your prayers. Pray that we find Naziah, if she's alive or not. At least we wouldn't have to worry that baby is somewhere and out in these elements. And we're just going to keep all of them in our prayers. That's all.
Appreciate you, Marty.
All right. No problem, Shank.
I'm going to just leave everybody with this. We all got to do better. It's not about us individually. It's about us as a whole. We are all in this together. And in my opinion, for so long, the powers to be are the ones that have us all divided. The powers to be has young versus old, women versus men, men versus women, children versus their parents, the parents versus children, black versus white, white versus black, this nationality against this nationality, the South versus the North, the East against the West. But as I said before, in my opinion, it's going to take us all to make a difference. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's going to take some years. It's going to take a lot of years. But my belief is if we start by having love and compassion for each other, that's a start. And remember, it takes a village to raise one child. So as a village, these children need us. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. Salute, and I'll see everybody back tomorrow. Y'all can hang around in the chat. I'll leave the chat running. Salute, everybody.
Anybody that could help out with London's front row. We got to go find me page set up with the news. And it will go directly to London's mother in the front row home. So please, if you could help out, please.
I understand London was a really special girl, full of life. How would you describe her?
That was my baby. I just want my baby back. Oh, God. It's the hardest thing ever. Oh, God. Just been trying to be strong. Oh, God. Not knowing what she went through. That kills me the most. What she went through. I just don't know. Everybody shutting down. The mother is shutting down, not talking to me. Oh, God, it just hurt. It's hurt. I just want my baby back. Oh, God. Oh, London. Oh, she always say, say, when I get old, your daddy he ain't gonna say, she say, I'm gonna take care of you, Grandma. And I always try to do the best I could, teach her the right from wrong. I just miss my baby. Lord, I'm not gonna ever get that call again. Oh, God.
She used to call you a lot?
Yeah, she called me right before she disappeared for pizza. I sent her $20. And she called me back and said, thank you, I love you, Grandma. And she did get to tell me she loved me. And I told her I love her too, so I did get that last moment. Oh, God, it's the hardest thing. That's my baby. I kept up with me when she was younger. Oh, as they get older, they wean away. Oh, God. And just please, if y'all can help with the GoFundMe page, we do need help here in London.
This weekend, when the news broke, were you guys all together, or where were you guys when everything happened this weekend?
It was my son's birthday.
Her father?
Yeah, her father's birthday. And he just broke down in the room. He called me first. He didn't come tell me. He called me and told me. And the house is just in an uproar. We went from trying to enjoy that day to just purely hell. I can't do it.
Saturday was his birthday?
They found her.
Have police told you anything about who's in custody, the suspects?
No, they just said they got 2 people. I don't know who they are.
What are you hoping happens these next couple days?
Oh, God. So I want her justice. I want them to do the most time they could ever see in their life for killing my grandchild. And I just want London to be put away decent, nice. want her to go ahead and get buried. And she ain't got to suffer no more. Whatever she was going through.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
You guys are talking about doing a candlelight vigil?
Yeah, candlelight vigil where it happened at 7:30 tonight.
Okay.
I'm not sure the street.
Is there anything else that you want? You know, so many thousands of people are praying for you guys, thinking about you guys. Is there anything else that you would want people to know?
And thanks for all your help and support and helping us look for her. Oh, that was the hardest thing I had to do in my life, look for my grandchild.
Why do you think Keefe D is trying to throw you under the bus by implicating you being in the Tupac's murder?
Well, to be honest, I think it's all the conspirators out there or the conspiracy channels that's out there that's feeding his head. I saw that his son been dealing with this white guy. I don't want to call him assaulting like I want to say, but this guy that got a wig on his hair. I call him Uncle Fester. He got a channel, and they've been pushing that theory and snitch no joke and all of them. They be pushing no theory. So when you start listening to all of them, and the PI that the court appointed them came out with this theory with it being on the case for 3 or 4 days. And then they were like, oh, it was Reggie Wright Jr. We got, but as the DA and everybody told me, say, Reggie, that's just a delayed tactic. They trying to delay the tactic. They got it pushed back a year. And so, hey, well, we care. He's sitting in jail. And so is this a delay tactic? Maybe they hoping some witnesses change their mind or die or something come up. But if you're innocent, you want a speedy trial. But if you know you're going to be sitting down for a while anyway, you'll be like, well, it's easier for my people to come and visit me at LA County Jail than it is, or Las Vegas County Jail than it is to whatever penitentiary they send you, because they can send you to anywhere in the state then. So I think that's what the plan is. And hey, give yourself a chance. Give yourself some type of defense.
Right.
So I ain't mad at him for trying.
Yeah. Now I did hear him mention something about the witness. He said, yeah, the key witness is the one. Are you a witness for the state? Are you going to be a witness in that case?
I went before the grand jury and testified to the atmosphere. I wasn't there. I was at the club. I was 2 miles away from where all of that happened. Right. The only thing I could testify to is the atmosphere, just what was going on around Death Row, the beef between Bad Boys and Death Row at the time, and all of that. That's all they asked me about. That's all I testified about. Some of the procedures of how they roll and the security procedures and the lack of security or whatever that took place. That's all I talked about. The key witness is himself.
Right. And
then his homeboy, this dude named Dirt Rock, that used to live with one of the guys that was in the car. That's telling everything that dude was telling him. And guys from the South Side Compton Crips. Reggie Wright is an element guy. He wasn't there. How can you be the key witness if you're not there? So that's just people talking and running their mouths and throwing out opinions and all of that. It sounds good for the headline. Who else has a bigger name out here concerning that, that you could possibly throw the blame on? He fucked up. What he should have been saying is Reggie Wright paid me or had me do it. Then that would be like, oh, okay, he's saying that. But just to say Reggie Wright, is the one that did it and I wasn't there. And after I've been bragging about it and I ain't crazy, ask anybody. One day y'all just play it and then go to a sane person, a type of person that's generally going to be on a jury, meaning an auntie or an older cousin or something like that, and say, you got this guy that's saying, oh, I did this, I did that on BET, on Death Row Chronicles, on YouTube, wrote a book and all of that. And he's been confessing to doing this. And so the first question will be, well, is he crazy? No, he ain't crazy. He's sane. And he said all of this? Guilty. Now, people in the YouTube and all of that, we're a little different. We listen to this motherfucker now that's talking about UFOs and stuff like that on Vlad channel.